that I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
We can make our beloved country the source of all the dreams and the opportunities that she was missing.
Welcome to the American Idiots Podcast, the show where we take the most divisive headlines and put them to the debate with our diverse group of hosts. Join us as we leave no story uncovered and spare no politician. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It's the American Idiots Podcast. We ain't done one of these in quite some time, and we do apologize, of course, scheduling issues being what they are. But we do have some good news. Now you can find us by searching Podcast Network 49 on iTunes, on Spotify, just about anywhere you can get your podcasts. You can find us now. I'm working to get the archives uploaded and everything as we speak, so hopefully those will be up pretty quick. But with that being said, certainly glad to be back. We got a lot to talk about tonight, including, some issues with Joe Biden's running into a pile of crap that he stepped in. Lafayette Square not being ordered by Trump. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We got all sorts of news. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and bring in my trusty companion here, Manic Hispanic. Manny Hispanic, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Sorry that my schedule has kind of gotten in the way of us being able to do the show, and then you had issues,
Right.
People, we are regular, ordinary, everyday people, and we go through some stuff too.
Exactly. And not only that, we do have some good news too. Starting next week, Tropic Thunder will be back. So pretty excited about having Tropic Thunder back on the show. Hey, some of our listeners may not remember Tropic Thunder. If we still have listeners, our Cummins guy may have been executed already.
Right.
But no, definitely excited to have her back on a recurring role at first. She's actually getting ready to get married, so she's going to be coming in when she can based upon wedding planning and everything, but definitely excited that you just won't hear us two losers speaking.
Right.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. Top story tonight, COVID relief based on race ruled invalid by a court. And we have a story from Fox Business on this.
Welcome back, folks. The Biden administration is attempting to give the Small Business Administration, that's the SBA, authority to hand out billions of dollars to socially disadvantaged farmers, restaurateurs, and other business owners that are hurt by the COVID pandemic, provided they don't have white skin. This is an extraordinary, unheard of, anti-American racist policy. Now, the good news here is, thanks to our next guest and others, this anti-white COVID rescue is not likely to survive in court and has already been tripped up, thankfully. Joining us now, my great, great pal, founder of America First Legal and former senior White House advisor, Steve Miller. I mean, Steve Miller, I never heard of anything like this. They wanted, you all may stop them, and I hope to Lord you do, but they basically wanted to keep this aid out of white people who might have been just as hurt by COVID as other groups. What's your take on this, Mr. Miller?
It's un-American, and more than that, from a legal standpoint, it is blatantly unconstitutional. I'm immensely proud of the fact that my organization, America First Legal, has already received an initial ruling on behalf of our plaintiffs. so that the people that we represent in court, they're going to be able to participate. But we want the whole illegal scheme to be stricken down. All Americans were hurt by this pandemic, and restaurant and bar owners in particular were devastated because of closure rules. It's nothing they did. This was not the market making a negative judgment about their business. These are people who did everything right, paid every cent of taxes. They hired people of all colors, all backgrounds, gave them jobs, gave them a ladder to the middle class. Then the federal government says, here's a program to save your business. Oh, but by the way, you can only get the money if you're a certain skin color. That is so outrageous. That is so illegal. It is so wrong. If we let that happen, there's no limiting principle here, Larry, then every single other part of our lives, everything else in this country then can be divided up by race. And then the whole American experiment is gone.
Well, of course, I agree with you. I mean, Stephen, I guess this is critical race theory. This is what Senator Tim Scott spoke about. This is what our great friend, former HUD Secretary Ben Carson has spoken about. So if I get this right, in order to curb discrimination, we're supposed to discriminate against others. And the discrimination here from these groups on the far left is against white people. I don't understand, as you were beginning to say, what does your color have to do with failed restaurants or COVID failures in almost any business? I don't understand that. That's certainly not what Martin Luther King said. But it is critical race theory, and it is using racism to fight racism, or it's using discrimination to fight discrimination. Stephen, I mean, I just think that's culturally, spiritually, and Americanly sick.
No, it is sick. Sick is the right word. And you know what? The thing about racism, the thing about prejudice and bigotry is it warps whoever is carrying it out. So if we, as a country, as a government, sanction this kind of behavior, we're going to lose our soul as a country. And that's the real danger here, is if we become a country where whichever group is in power gets to punish another group because of how they look, where they live, where they pray, whatever it may be, we're not America anymore. I mean, here's a crazy thing about this. You know, not only is it discriminating against white restaurant owners and white bar owners, but it's also, for example, discriminating against Jewish restaurant owners and Jewish bar owners. It's discriminating against maybe a family that fled oppression in the Soviet Union, right, in the 80s. And they came to America, an immigrant dream. They started a restaurant. They started the business. They're being discriminated against. I mean, it's so un-American to say you look the wrong way, so your business is going to fail. And if you can do this, then you can do anything. Then you can say, let's put people in jail because of their skin color. Let's take away someone's home. Let's take away someone's rights. It is a complete betrayal of Martin Luther King, and you hit the nail on the head. This is critical race theory in action.
So, Stephen, producers yell at me.
So that's pretty much enough of the talking heads there on that one. I want to start off our conversation on this one with, do you think that this was directly from Joe? And the reason why I say that, I give Trump a lot of leeway saying that a lot of the stuff he did didn't come directly from him, and that, you know, it came from his underlings and stuff like that. I give Joe leeway in this case. I can't imagine that this got out of even the thought process stage. Like, what? We're gonna decide who gets after this whole year. And I understand we were focusing on a different minority, but after this whole year of fighting this issue, we turn around and we do a complete flip, and now we start targeting the people of Caucasian descent. Of course, I can understand a little bit of the, well, now you guys understand what we went through type of thing. I can understand a little bit of that from the minority community. Completely cool with that argument. But to allow this to happen, I think he hit the nail on the head. This is un-American. Like Joe, as much as he spoke about bringing the country together, this is a very divisive thing. This is something that these are the types of things that created a Trump, in my opinion, and created the vacuum for Trump to fill. And we're seeing them repeat the same mistakes.
My turn?
Your turn.
Got to get used to all this again.
All right.
No, I don't think this was all from Joe. It is clearly the administration that put stuff together, same way that you were talking about with President Trump.
Right.
Who we learned today, for all of us that turned 75. Today's Donald Trump's birthday, so have a beer to that. Yeah, the administration is the one that started putting this together, and I'm sure they hit deadline. That's what you get when you have people trying to throw things together at the 11th hour. And okay, here, go with this. At least it's something. I've heard people say that it's better to have something down than nothing at all. So this may be the one time that it really bit them in the rear.
Right.
As far as saying it's un-American, I mean, America did it to black-owned businesses for how long? So maybe it is American to be racist.
Maybe we need to come to that realization that maybe this is more American than we want to admit.
I do find it funny that they say to do this and leave the white people out is causing the country to lose its soul.
Right.
I mean, we're not really losing our soul based on this. But for me, the bottom line is to get rid of the racism, period.
Yeah,
basically, they're using racism to try to get people to prove that they're not racist.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say that, well, for years you did this, and now we don't even want to be on an even playing field. We need y'all to be lower than us so that we can, feel like we are above you so that it evens out. I don't know how long they're expecting that to happen.
Right.
But bottom line, we need to get rid of racism altogether. So when you start looking at the numbers in your public school, this child can't switch schools to a school choice because they fall into this category. So now they're not allowed to go to that school. You start getting into stuff like that, and there's a big issue there. That is racism. You're limiting where someone can go based on their race.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. The thing is here, I think the one thing, he said a lot of things that, we kind of laugh at. Oh, it's America losing its soul and so on and so forth. But one thing he did say, you can't combat racism with racism.
Right.
That's not how this works.
Right.
And it's completely unacceptable. And for them to think it's acceptable is just like, once again, this is another situation where whoever drafted this probably needs to at least get sat down and have a stern talking with. We don't do things this way in this administration. We kind of ran on the opposite end of the spectrum. But
we need to get things about sex and things about race and things about age off of applications of every kind. We need to set up standards for whatever you're doing. If you don't meet a standard, you don't qualify. It's not racist. Right. There's nothing racist about it. You didn't meet the standard, you don't qualify. Past that standard, luck of the draw. First come, first serve.
Exactly. I mean, shoot, I just got done watching a couple weeks ago a documentary about the USC admissions scandal. Where the celebrities were paying the gentlemen to get their kids into USC.
Yeah.
And they said, it comes down to basically, either you have the top scores, you're an athlete, or you give enough money to the university to get into USC. Right. Everybody else is pretty much screwed. And that's the thing, like, those things need to be looked at. You shouldn't be guaranteed admission to a school just based upon how much money you have. Like, once again, in theory, everything should be based upon the requirements. In this case, hey, 4.0 GPA, certain ACT score, and then, hey, we'll look at additional factors like, hey, how involved are you in the community, yada, yada, yada. But money.
Right. But they don't need to take age. They don't need to take sex. They don't need to take race. Heck, they don't even need to take your name into account.
I would agree.
We should be assigned a number whenever we apply for certain things. That way, all they know is our qualifications based on that number.
That's a heck of an idea. I really like that. That's a heck of an idea, Manny. Even if it's just, a lot of these credit applications, a lot of home, you got to put in your Social Security anyway, even if they just track you by your Social Security number and know nothing else about you.
Credit is the biggest scam of them all.
Mm-hmm. You're right about that. Absolutely. Credit's one of the reasons why we have the income inequality we have in this country.
Yes. It's funny because you look at the baby boomers who want to push that they did it. They didn't have credit to worry about. Right. They're the ones that invented the whole credit score.
Mm-hmm. They got their wealth, and then they decided, okay, you want some of our wealth, we'll go ahead and give it to you.
We need to limit it, though.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But no, my final thing on this, just completely asinine, whoever let it even get out of the White House, if it was even made in the White House, dumb. This was a kid who probably is like an intern or something. Oh, well, this sounds good. Okay. Like you said, probably up against a deadline.
I doubt that. This is probably one of the good old boys who's been there for years who thought this would fly.
And, maybe
this is the way we did it 20 years ago. It should work this time.
Maybe they did. Maybe it is because, there is quite a few people and, he kind of got the team back together. I remember, actually, I was listening to one of our episodes right after Joe got elected, and we were talking about how really he was just getting the team back together from the Obama administration.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, there's a good chance that that's a lot of it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this whole thing, when I look at it, I think of the movie Accepted. I don't know if you remember that. But basically, the dean of the college that had been there for years said that the way they make it exclusive is the way they make it better and more sought after is to make it exclusive.
Right.
And that is pretty much what a lot of companies are trying to do. America as a business, it seems like they're trying to make things exclusive to make things better. And that doesn't work.
As a principle, you shouldn't have a relief bill that is exclusive.
Right.
Obviously, yes, there is some exclusivity on this one because it just applies to restaurant owners, farmers, yada, yada, yada. But there should be no exclusivity as long as you are one of those things.
Exactly. Like I said, you meet the standard first. If you meet the standard, then it comes first come, first serve.
Exactly.
Not based on your race or your religion or your sex or your age. Or even what kind of business it was. They might prioritize the bars over the farm.
Exactly. Lord knows we've seen plenty of people that didn't need a COVID relief package get it, and now not the FBI, the IRS has gone back after them, and it's like, wow, I can't believe like this random individual got a business loan because of COVID, and yeah.
Right.
Oh, some of this stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how many strip clubs pulled something.
Probably.
We got to pay the employees. No, they're making tips.
Right. Okay, so the January 6th, the Senate has released a new report detailing security failures with the riots, and we have a story from the AP archives on this.
Shame to you guys. Right? Look how many people we got. They got 10 people trying to stop us. 10 people trying to stop us.
So, you know, that's some stuff.
Do you screen your videos?
I do. I try to make them as short as possible, though.
You said coming up was a story, and I mean that was just video of what was going on. I mean that
right
story.
You hush your mouth. Don't criticize me. I'm the dictator in this ship. No, I'm playing. No, but looking at it, you know,
dick.
I hate you. Looking at this and everything that's surrounding January 6th, it's becoming very apparent that while it's, you know, I'm going to call it the sexy thing to blame it on Trump and blame it on Giuliani and blame it on them. Like, yes, maybe Giuliani had something to do with riling up everything, but it is becoming blatant and very apparent to me that security at the Capitol, at this building, at the White House, I'm sure, and everywhere that doesn't have to deal with this on a regular basis is fundamentally flawed. They were not ready for this.
Ready for the amount of people that were there, number one. But I go back to one of our last episodes that we did where we talked about the fact that Trump requested troops to be there.
Right. And he did.
And somebody shot that down. To my knowledge, was Pelosi.
I believe it was.
Now, granted, I've slept since then, so I'm not exactly up on everything. And while I do try to look at these stories, I don't always have the time to. And sometimes I just select these things based on the headline and wait for you to play the video to get my talking points.
Right.
As everybody can tell through that video, they didn't give us a lot of talking points. Thanks, Mike. But it seems like everything was dropped. And from what those people were saying, they're trying to stop us with 10 people. Are you telling me there were only 10 security that were present, at least on that side of the building? Or that entrance? I mean, seriously?
So, Manny, we got this story from a story you shared on from an MSN story, and you know there are some key takeaways from what the Senate detailed after poring over thousands of documents. One of them, the very first one listed, was that the Capitol Police were warned, and it's not even the warning you think of that we mentioned a second ago. It was about. Gosh darn it! I have something playing here.
Yeah, hear it.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
What's going on with this Mickey Mouse organization?
So we decided
Shut
to
up.
call 911.
I don't even know where it's coming from.
We knew we were in the.
I feel like an old person.
We knew she was gonna.
You talking out of your ass? What's up?
Anyway, okay, I'm just going to close this story. Anyway, so the first thing was that the Capitol Police were warned about this attack. And it's not even the warning, like I said, that we talked about earlier with Trump wanting, the additional security and shot down by Pelosi. This is that that a DC hotel contacted Capitol Police. The Metropolitan Police then contacted the Capitol Police and said, hey, there's a large number of people booking hotel stays on this date. You may want to be prepared. And sure enough, nothing happened with it. They were grossly still unprepared for this attack. Once again, this is kind of like, you look at this, and we laughed when Nancy said she wanted a 9/11 type investigation, but this is kind of like a slap in the face. Like, you were warned pretty heavily before 9/11. You were warned pretty heavily that this was a likelihood before this January 6th thing happened.
Right, and actually, unlike 9/11, you have actual evidence to show there's going to be a surplus of people in the area. All right, and we want to talk about attack. I still don't think this was anything more than a group of people who probably got a little liberated, and a lot of sheep who decided to just follow what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're going that way? Okay, let's all go that way. Oh, they're going inside? Okay, let's all go inside. It wasn't a planned attack like anybody was trying to take over anything.
Right. And I think it became pretty blatant once they actually got past the security and past the police and barricades, and they just kind of scattered, that, you're absolutely right. This was not planned by any stretch of the imagination. There may have been.
It cracks me up when they call it an attack, because when you think of an attack, you think of something that is more planned and has a real goal that they're going for. And I guess maybe I'm looking too much into that, because I know sometimes, you could just be chilling on a street corner, somebody come by and hit you, and yeah, technically it's an attack. Right. So maybe I'm getting caught up in the word, but this by no means was any group of people that was well organized or well equipped or had a plan on what they wanted to do.
Now, see, I'll stop you there. I do think there were individuals, like I said, a small group that probably knew each other even, and they were the same small group that was like, you know what, we're going to go up there and we're going to start shit and we're going to see what the fuck we can do. But everybody else, like you said, the majority of them, a sheep mentality, those people went and did what they wanted to do and what they had planned on doing. The sheep were the ones that were just roaming the halls of the Capitol and acting stupid.
Sitting at Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Oh, my God. Another one that kind of, I think, needs to be addressed. The report went on to state that the U.S. Capitol Police Chief has no unilateral authority to request assistance from the National Guard. That, I believe, is a critical failure on the Capitol Police. This is a federal building that needs to... I don't even know that you don't just put the Capitol Police under the jurisdiction of the military. Like, that makes sense to me. This is a federal building, some of the most important federal buildings out there, and they have no authority to ask for help.
You start getting into other police officers in other states, other areas wanting to be able to make that call also, and it's not always needed. I mean, we have really seen where police training has failed to the point that if they had the authority to call out
the National Guard
troops of any kind, yes, it would really turn into some crap.
Right. And I can agree. I think, though, in this case, with it being what it was, I think maybe we make an exception. I see your point, but I think that's the exception, is the fact that it is the U.S. Capitol. It's the White House. The White House wasn't attacked that day, but, the White House, the Pentagon, the Capitol, they all...
Yes, but a while back, I think we declared that ultimately it was up to Nancy Pelosi, did we not?
That is what I remember the story being, was that Nancy shot down it wasn't, I don't think, was it request for National Guard troops, or was it additional?
No, it was a request for National Guard troops.
Okay.
Trump said that he recommended it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Capitol Police requested it. And To my knowledge, the chain of command is that Nancy Pelosi was the one, the Speaker of the House, has the call on that, and she denied it.
Now, and you know I'm no Nancy fan by any stretch of the imagination, but one thing I will ask, mindset-wise, I mean, once again, to draw a parallel to 9/11, nobody thought that would happen before the day as well. But if you're looking at something, are you really thinking, come on? Like, before this,
Right,
I would have thought there's no way in hell.
She may not have gotten the news that hotels were filling up. She may not have gotten anything like that. She may have thought, oh, Trump really ain't a draw. Right. The media says that they don't follow him. Maybe they need to stop. Maybe they need to stop following their own hype.
Right. And I mean, that's true. I mean, if I think in my mind that Nancy was getting briefings before the January 6th Capitol bombing about how this could be a potential threat, then you've lost your mind. I see this as Nancy got a call or an email or something saying, hey, we may need this, and Nancy probably deleted it quickly, or just,
especially when it came from Trump.
To Nancy, to tell you the honest to goodness truth. If it didn't go to Nancy's security secretary or something, I mean, there's nothing saying that Nancy thought it was important enough to even get it to her desk.
Yeah, like I said, especially when it came from Trump.
Exactly.
I'm sure they deleted that quickly.
I mean, not only is it coming from Trump, but it's also coming from a lame duck president. Like, there's a lot of strikes against something coming from Trump that could have caused this. But, once again, the fact that they didn't get that done hindered their ability to protect, once again, the Capitol in this case. And I think that going forward, this needs to be something that needs to be addressed. Absolutely. Let's see here. The Capitol Police activated 7 of these units, but only 4. There you go. So there was also some other embarrassing failures here. The Capitol Police activated 7 special units on January 6th called the Civil Disturbance Unit. Basically their version of the riot squad. Only 4 had equipment.
Wow.
What?
Where's the equipment? Why are the Capitol Police ill-equipped?
Why are the Capitol Police ill-equipped, but Little Rock PD is more than equipped?
Right?
Come on now.
That's crazy.
It's embarrassing, the failures of not necessarily the boots on the ground, because they can't do this, but what's above their heads, that the bureaucracy that they have to go through to be able to do their job.
It's not the officer's fault that he don't have what he needs.
Exactly.
The department is supposed to supply that. So now we got to look at, again, who's in control of the department. To my knowledge, that all goes uphill to Speaker of the House.
Yeah, Nancy. And, once again, this report coming out from, let's be honest, a democratically controlled Congress and Senate should speak volumes to Nancy, because the way I read it, this is Nancy. Nancy failed to deploy the National Guard. Nancy failed to, whether it be
properly equip
herself or the Democrats, properly equip all these units that they needed that day.
And it shouldn't have waited until a day like this for them to say, well, do we have enough?
Exactly.
I mean, this is the Capitol Police. They should be well equipped years ago.
If we're going to over-equip a police department, it's probably going to need to be the Capitol Police. Let's be honest here. They're probably the closest police force that's actually to the, the federal troops. And the fact that they're under-equipped is really telling in my mind.
It also shows that they don't have much of a plan in the event of a siege.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'll give a little leeway on that one, Just because, once again, how many people thought a 9/11 would happen before 9/11? How many people thought January 6th would happen before January 6th? I certainly didn't. But now that we know it, it's like, holy crap, we as citizens, ordinary citizens, shouldn't have to think about these things. You guys should have the forethought and knowledge to make this impossible. Make this impossible for them to break through a security barrier and all of this. Like, it is embarrassing, the things that they let go that day. And the fact that, like, I'm shocked that they allowed, I'm shocked the Secret Service didn't step in at a certain point, to be honest.
Right.
Thinking about the president and his safety. Like, did the Secret Service not have any knowledge of this? Like, could they not have gone above Nancy's head and said, hey, we got to protect the president first and foremost? These are embarrassing moments for our country, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and speaking of embarrassing moments, this one for our own state here in Arkansas, another police issue. This one, oh my God. We have a story from NBC News.
Did they hit the inside wall? It rolled over. Get me EMS started. Did they hit the inside wall? It rolled over. Get me EMS started. Can you get out? Come on out. Come out this way, right here. Come out this way. Can you come out? Yeah, hold on a minute. Can you get out your passenger door? Here, I'm going to move this. Watch your head. Why didn't you stop?
Because I didn't feel like it was safe.
Well, this is where you ended up. Watch your head. Can you come out this way? I got plenty of room right here. Are you the only one in the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pregnant.
Well, ma'am, you've got to pull over when we stop.
I had my flash.
It doesn't matter, ma'am. Come on out.
Feel like it was safe.
Hey, NBC News viewers.
Okay. Let's unpackage this one at a time. And I instantly, because of actually the steeple of the church, know exactly where they were. They were about, Manny, if you're familiar with the Jacksonville area, I know you've been up going to northeast Arkansas quite a bit.
Yeah.
In between Jacksonville and Cabot is where they were.
Yes.
So let's unpack this. He lights her up. She was going, I believe, according to the story I read, 70 and an 80. Or she was going 80 and a 70, excuse me.
Right.
He lights her up, and she instantly turns on her hazards. His question, and this is probably the most disturbing part of this to me, his question of why didn't you pull over was met with, I didn't feel like it was safe. Now, mind you, this was July of 2020 when all this other shit was going on, too. Mind you. I'm not sure the ethnicity of the woman, but that's neither here nor there. She said she didn't feel safe. Now, it is in the Arkansas State Driver Manual that you are to pull over at the nearest safe location. With that being said, there is no safe spot. Like I'm sure you're very familiar with those barriers. They're right up against the road. There's no wiggle room at all.
And with those barriers there, basically what she was saying, I don't know how many times you might have seen the full video. She says, I didn't think it was safe for you to be able to get out and approach the vehicle.
Right.
So her first thoughts were on the safety of the officer and was trying to get to the next exit.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of getting on a loudspeaker or trying to get in front of her and slow her down, his first thought is to basically disable her car by making it uncontrollable, which is a serious issue, especially when she has done everything by the book, as you pointed out, and that's what I was trying to look up.
I think it's at page 3 of the Arkansas Driver Manual. You make a good point, though. Obviously, you've seen a more complete video than what we just saw there. Did he request permission to do that pit maneuver beforehand?
No.
I heard him talking afterwards. I think they have to request permission to do that.
Now that I don't know, but no, at no time did he request permission to do it. He pulled up beside her. I guess didn't feel she was given the correct hand signals because she was trying to signal him. She mentions that and backed off and did the pit maneuver.
And that's just mind-blowing to me. Like, what are you thinking? I didn't see anything saying anything had happened to this officer. She's doing the right thing, in my opinion, by the way, by suing the Arkansas State Police now. I completely.
Yes.
She's about to get paid.
Even if she's, I was going to say, even if she's not suing for monetary value, which she needs to do for the simple fact that her car is totaled now.
Right.
Even if she wasn't doing that, she needs to do it for policy change.
Yes, absolutely. That way, if you don't have to, and I mean, I can't guarantee you have to ask for pit approval here in the state, but I know there is places where you do have to ask for that, and if you don't here in the state, they need to change that.
Okay, so number 1, pull over to the right side of the road, in which it tells you activate your turn signal or emergency flashers to indicate to the officer that you are seeking a safe place to stop, which is what she did.
Right.
He didn't give her enough time to do anything. Number 2, if you are unsure if you're being stopped by an actual police officer, activate your turn signal or emergency flashers and pull to the nearest well-lit location or dial 911 and request confirmation that an actual police officer is attempting to stop you. I remember that one because there was an issue with police officers that were pulling over minorities and causing issues.
In addition,
so that's why they came up with that to go to a well-lit, well-populated area to make yourself feel more at ease.
Right.
Number 3,
go ahead.
Go to the nearest safest spot out of the traffic lane. Do not stop on bridges or overpasses. And that section of road is a lot like a bridge and overpass and the guardrails are right there.
Right. Which, once again, for full disclosure, like this area that this accident happened is like 15 minutes tops up the road from where I am. So I'm very familiar with it. Yeah, there's no shoulder. There, like you said, I mean, she was looking out for him. If this officer,
my simple point is she did it by the book.
Exactly. If this officer isn't in trouble, fired, something, it needs to happen very quickly. Holy crap. If it's gone a year or almost a year, 11 months, and it hasn't happened yet, number one, that's a failure on the Arkansas State Police. But just the complete, like you said, and I mean, I'm going to get this guy, full disclosure, is my American Idiot of the Week. But the complete lack of knowledge of something as basic and easy as Arkansas driver laws that are listed in the driver handbook.
Yes.
Is a problem. Once again, just like we talk about on every single one of these, training. I'm not going to say that this guy blatantly disregarded training. I think this guy's just a moron. And I don't know what he was thinking, to tell you the honest goodness truth. Because
I think I'm going to try it. I'm going to try the exact opposite of what she did. I'm going to do my 80 in a 70 zone, and when the cop gets behind me, I'm going to slam on my damn brakes. And say, well, it didn't work the other way, so I tried this one.
Right? I mean, and the thing is, she's not even trying to avoid him when he's getting into, when he's getting into space for that, she's clearly not trying to get away. I don't know what was going through this dude's mind.
And he made a mistake.
Yes, absolutely.
I can get that. But the fact that he goes up and tries to justify what he did lets me know that it was no mistake.
You should have pulled over when we tell you to, or something.
Right.
I forget what the exact quote is, but are you fucking kidding me?
And that is another problem that we have with almost every police officer. That once you point out that they may be wrong, they're not going to accept that.
Yeah, they get defensive.
Because they feel that they are above the law, and they have an ego, the majority of them, have an ego that will not allow them to hear anything from someone they consider lower than them.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, luckily, I'm glad we did get to watch this, because luckily it did say that the baby did survive. I didn't see that in any of the other stories. So luckily the baby, they were able to say that the baby
survived, but we still have to wait to see what kind of issues may be there.
No joke.
I mean, you stressed out a woman who is pregnant, and just stress on a fetus can change all kinds of things.
I mean, not to mention the fact that it doesn't mention any injuries, but Lord knows she definitely had to go to the hospital that night.
Right.
In addition to being pregnant, she just had a roller accident I think that stretch of road, the limit is 65 or 70. So you're easily going to the hospital to at least get checked out.
Right.
It's kind of, good Lord, it's kind of head scratching, to tell you the honest to goodness truth. But definitely, I'm going to try my best to keep up with it. But my goodness,
hit the center wall like that.
Luckily,
hit the center wall like that is what killed Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah.
So I mean, how much damage was really done?
True.
Especially with that seatbelt, you've got a pregnant person with that lap band on. So yeah, how much force was actually pushed against her fetus?
You're right. I mean, and we won't know, like you said, until the baby grows up a little bit more, has a little bit more cognitive function, so on and so forth.
Right.
They can only tell so much at such an early age. Even now, the baby's just now reaching, still less than a year old, because it said was born later in the year. So, I mean, really can't tell much right now.
Right.
But with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with more American Idiots after this. Each and every Monday night, join the American Idiots podcast for a fresh look at the top headlines that are currently dividing our country. It's the American Idiots podcast only on Podcast Network 49. Every Sunday night at 8, join Michael Carnahan and Lisa O'Brien for the Clear and Convincing Show, where we take the most important cases in our country's history and we examine them not from the court of public opinion, but from the court's perspective. It's the Clear and Convincing Show with Michael Carnahan and Lisa O'Brien. Every Saturday afternoon from 2 to 4, join the Natural State Sports Podcast with Michael Carnahan, Aaron, and Mike Pettis, where we take the top headlines in all of sports and we debate them for you, the fan. It's the Natural State Sports Podcast only on Podcast Network 49.
Welcome back, folks. The Biden administration is...
I've been champion for a long time, Tony, simply because I'm the best there is. I got more women waiting for me in that hallway, quivering, shaking, having conniptions than you met in the last 5 years. You know why? Because I just happen to be Slick Rick.
Join Michael and Aaron each week as they break down the most influential and sometimes downright hilarious pay-per-views in professional wrestling history. It's the Wrestling Wrap-Up Show only for you on Podcast Network 49. It has never been any easier to keep up with all of your favorite Podcast Network 49 shows. If you're a fan of just listening along, you can always go to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your favorite podcasts and subscribe. If you're more of a visual listener to our shows, go ahead and check out our Facebook and YouTube lives, or you can always go in and check out the archived content. Once again, it's never been easier to keep up with Podcast Network 49. Each and every Monday night, join the American Idiots podcast for a fresh look at the top headlines that are currently dividing our country. It's the American Idiots podcast only on Podcast Network 49.
State of Arizona versus Jody Ann Arias, verdict, count 1.
That I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
We can make our beloved country the source of all the dreams and the opportunities that she was missing.
Welcome to the American Idiots Podcast, the show where we take the most divisive headlines and put them to the debate with our diverse group of hosts. Join us as we leave no story uncovered and spare no politician. And welcome back in for hour number 2. Manny, I saw that. Welcome back in for hour number 2. Of course, had some technical difficulties trying to get the ad loaded there. But definitely give me that video file and we'll have them going forward.
I saved it down onto my phone, but I didn't actually save it to my computer. So since I'm using my phone for the podcast, I don't want to jump off or anything like that.
Right on. Real quick, though, go ahead and give our listeners the details.
June 23rd. Oh, you would throw me on the
remember
spot.
Your own show day?
You would throw me on the spot like that. June 26th. June 26th, fourth Saturday of every month, we are doing South Central Wrestling in Mountain Pine, Arkansas. It's about 15 minutes outside of Hot Springs. Come check us out. Family friendly. We always try to make a fun, wholesome show. We are bringing in Al Snow in August. So that is a done deal. We've already purchased plane tickets. We have already paid him his fee. So that is pretty much set in stone. August 28th, Al Snow will be in the building.
Dang.
And guess what, Mike?
What?
Because we are planning on more people being there, we have already talked to security so that, we don't have an attack.
Touche for sure.
Geez, if a small wrestling promotion like South Central Wrestling understands that more people may be present, we may need some kind of security. You would think that Nancy Pelosi would have realized that at some point, but
you would think.
Here we are in this predicament.
Exactly. Well, here we go. We actually have a story from MSNBC, and I'm going to actually enjoy this. I haven't watched this one yet, but I'm going to enjoy hearing them kind of choke on their words a little bit. And then you get to hear me choke on my words a little bit from a year ago. So here we go. Here's the story about Lafayette Square and how President Trump did not order that. So here we go.
Welcome back. We've got some breaking news. The Interior Department's Inspector General has just released its report on that violent clearing of protesters outside the White House in Lafayette Square Park on June 1st of last year. That infamous photo op of the former president holding a Bible, the forceful clearing of protesters at the height of the national protests to George Floyd's murder. happened just minutes before President Trump arrived for that infamous photo op. So joining me now with details on what we learned in the report is our own Ken Delaney. And so, Ken, like everything, I think, considering what happened on January 6th, Lafayette Square that day certainly looks like it was certainly a bit of a foreshadowing experience, sadly. But what did we learn?
Chuck, this is a really surprising finding by the Inspector General of the Interior Department. They took a look at this, an independent investigation, and they found that the decision to clear the park made by the park police had nothing to do whatsoever. They found no evidence that it had anything to do with the president's decision to have a photo op and walk through there and have a photo op at the nearby historic church. They had decided, the park police, to clear that park of protesters hours before, according to this report, so a contractor could install some anti-scale fencing. And that decision was made irrespective of what Trump decided to do. In fact, there's a moment in this report where we've all seen on video the Attorney General walks into that park and speaks with the park police incident commander. We couldn't hear from the video what was being said. According to this report, Barr then informs the park police that the president is coming down, and the park police commander is shocked by this. And he says, according to this report, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Now, the thing about that episode is it does show that Barr seemed to be trying to speed it up. Once Trump made the decision to come through there, Barr went down and sort of said, hey, let's get this thing moving. But the decision to use force against those protesters, which remains controversial, Chuck, was not made, according to this report, because Trump wanted a photo op. Now, I should also add, Chuck, that this report finds some fault with the way that operation was undertaken. For example, it finds that the park police wasn't going to use tear gas, but Washington, D.C. officers did fire tear gas at the crowd. It finds that many members of the crowd did not hear the 3 warnings they were supposed to get to disperse before the police moved in, and it finds that Bureau of Prisons officers, who nobody was even understood why they were there, fired pepper balls at the crowd. But it doesn't second guess the decision to clear the protesters. It says that the park police was within their rights. And this is controversial, Chuck. Black Lives Matter is suing the Justice Department in federal court over this. And our own Garrett Hake was there that day and reported, if you recall, that the protests were not violent at that moment until the police moved in and caused violence. That was his direct bird's eye reporting, Chuck. So this remains an issue of controversy, but the narrative we thought we knew is not the reality.
So he said something that, I'll eat a little bit of crow on this one. The narrative we thought we knew is not the accurate one. So let's take this piece by piece. First off, the president did not authorize this. Nobody even knew that the president was coming until afterwards. As a matter of fact, he said that when Barr said, hey, the president's coming, the guy responded, are you freaking kidding me? This was done to place anti-scaling fences on the property. So let's take this piece by piece. First off, not as much walking back. I'll apologize for my part in being angry at Trump for this. Did he still do a photo op like in a place that just happened? Probably not the best decision, but I can no longer say that he's a dumbass for doing what he thought he did.
But you have to look at presidents past. Whenever there has been issues, when there has been, whether it was caused by nature or by man, when you had problematic areas of destruction, stuff like that, every president has usually gone to those.
Good
Number
point.
one. Number two, if I'm not mistaken, I just skipped it.
You getting old on me, Manny?
Who was our only black president? Barack.
Yeah.
I must be racist. Oh my gosh. If I'm not mistaken, Barack Obama was ridiculed a little bit for not going to a devastated area.
There was a couple that he missed, yeah.
I was going to say, I can't remember exactly which one.
Katrina, because he just flew over. So G-Dub.
Right, but even the fact that he flew, there wasn't actually a place he could land. So
True.
I'm not going to hold that one on him. But it seems like
I think there was, whether it been
it seems like maybe it was the Texas hurricane.
Maybe it was the Texas hurricane. I was about to say, I didn't think, because maybe it was Sandy that he didn't go to Jersey and see. Because I don't remember him going to see Jersey after Sandy either. But yeah.
It seems like he got ridiculed for being a president and not going and checking on that.
Right.
So, I mean, you can't down both sides, ridicule one president for not going and seeing something and then ridiculing another president because he did go and see something.
Yeah, but was the president, was former President Trump there to survey the damage, so to speak, or was he there for a photo op to hold a Bible?
Of course, there's going to be some people that's going to say one way and other people that say the other.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, he's the only one that knows the real reason he was there. The other thing, go ahead with your question.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say my question to you before we do get on to, the other stuff in this. Why did Trump's team never come out and say, yo, Trump didn't give this order? Like, y'all need to calm down. Like,
where were we at by that point? Where were we at in the re-election by that point? Would it have mattered?
True.
At that point, he's counting, months.
Yeah.
That he's left there. So why focus on that? I can get that, and the fact that they didn't makes me respect them and him a lot more, because he sure could have pushed. Hey, you need to make sure that they know this, and they need to know this, and he could have been talking about that every chance he got, but he didn't. So that gives me that much more respect for him that he wasn't petty in that case. Granted, he's been petty in a lot of cases.
Yeah. An odd one, though, that he didn't take the victory lap on. Like, he never said, hey, I didn't do that. Y'all need to get your shit correct.
I'm going to rebut that here in a minute. You and me are kind of swapping spots on this one. But before I take that other stance, I want to point out the fact that Trump said he was going down there knowing there was no fencing up, knowing there was no real protection. He was going amongst his constituents.
True.
So what kind of a president that you know of would just go out there to the people, especially people that we've been told by the media, the majority of them hate you?
Yeah, I was about to say a majority of the people out there weren't exactly friendly as the president.
What president do you know is willing to go out there among the people of the state the country he is in charge of?
I mean,
with nobody setting things up, making sure certain people are out. I mean, there could have been winos there for all we know.
True.
He was willing to go down there and be with the people.
True. And he didn't ride in his motorcade or anything. I believe he actually walked.
He walked
that far, but he walked the distance from the White House to Lafayette Square. Another thing I want to ask you about, though, this Interior Department report still says that they were justified in the response that they took.
Well, of course they're going to say that. You look at police officers and they feel they were justified when they arrest somebody for filming something, even though they've committed no crime.
True. I mean, I guess this speaks
for those of y'all that don't know, go to Audit the Audit on YouTube and look at some of those stories that the police have done. Some of the things that the police have done. It is crazy at the different ways that police from all over the United States try to hook you.
I didn't even know, like, when he said that about the Bureau of Prisons, like, and nobody knew why they were even there. Like, what? Like, they ain't even cops, let's be honest. They're glorified security officers. Correctional officers, I think, is the actual term, but they're not even technically officers, and they're out there firing shit. Like,
all right, so now to take that other stance, how do you look at Trump knowing everything that you know, procedure-wise, not telling anybody until the last minute, oh, well, I'm going down there. Let's go.
It doesn't surprise me.
did he kind of push their hand in the way they acted to get it cleared so that they could make it safe for him?
Huh. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that Trump would be like, yo, I'm ready to go and not give any notice, because he's Donald effing Trump, and who's going to tell him no? You know what I mean?
Right.
But
not just Donald effing Trump, President Donald Trump.
Right. Very true. That's a good point. That's a
so
good
now
point.
What was in his head whenever he was headed that direction? Was it, I'm President Donald Trump and who cares? I'm going down there.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it really a humbled, I really want to be down there with the people?
I don't think it's I want to be down there with the people, but I don't think it was like, now that we know what we know, I don't think it was a, hey, victory lap, hell yeah, we fucked these people up type of shit either.
Right.
I think it's
somewhere between the two.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, the Secret Service, let alone, once again, I hate to go back to him, but the Secret Service at least had to know that it was clear, because they, you know, as much as I've seen, like I've watched a lot of documentaries about Bush's actions on 9/11 and how literally the Secret Service, you know, he was like, I'm going back to Washington. And the Secret Service is like, the hell you are.
Right.
You know, like, yes, I want to say that Donald Trump's ego would allow Donald Trump to do what he'd want. But at the same time, I also feel like the Secret Service would be like, no, you're not going anywhere. So, I mean, I feel like the Secret Service at least knew that the...
Plus, the Secret Service was, you know, kind of for the other team. They're like, yeah, that's a great idea.
You mean they JFK'd him? Oh, wait, did I say that out loud? Oh, my goodness. Hey, at least Donald Trump didn't say anything about the Clintons.
Right.
Yeah, that's another one we can get to next week, but yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, my face is on this podcast. I got to put cameras up. Damn it.
Right, exactly. Okay, so let's get on to this next one, and I think me and you are about to go pretty hard on the same team for this next one. A Houston hospital has suspended, I believe the count was something like 150, but I know it was definitely over 100 employees for refusal to take the COVID vaccine. And we have this story from Great News on YouTube.
A Houston, Texas hospital has suspended 178 of its staff members who have refused to abide by its mandate that employees be fully vaccinated by Monday. Nearly 25,000 of Houston Methodist staff members have been fully inoculated against COVID-19 as part of a vaccination requirement announced in April, according to a statement Tuesday from Houston Methodist President Dr. Mark Boone. But the 178 unvaccinated employees who did not obtain religious or medical exemptions were suspended without pay, including 27 who are only partially vaccinated. We won't have the final numbers for 2 weeks as employees can still get vaccinated with their second dose or with the one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine, Boone's statement said. I wish the number could be zero, but unfortunately, a small number of individuals have decided not to put their patients first. There are 285 unvaccinated employees who received a medical or religious exemption, and another 332 who were granted deferrals. Boone's statement went on to say that he understood that for some employees it was a very difficult decision to get the vaccine, but that they did the right thing in order to protect our patients, your colleagues, your families, and our community. The science proves that the vaccines are not only safe, but necessary if we are going to turn the corner against COVID-19, Boone said. The mRNA technology behind the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines isn't new or experimental. It's been around for many years. Amanda Rivera, an emergency room nurse, told NBC affiliate KPRC that she is among the suspended employees and faces termination if she refuses to comply. I feel like they kind of bullied us into this little corner, like you have to do it or you don't have a job. This is my only source of income, Rivera said. A lawsuit was filed by 117 employees at the end of May against the hospital, which argued that COVID-19 vaccines were experimental, and that Houston Methodist could not force an employee to accept an FDA-unapproved vaccine on penalty of termination or other sanctions. None of the currently available experimental vaccines for COVID-19 has received final approval from the FDA, the lawsuit stated. There are 3 COVID-19 vaccines in the U.S., manufactured by Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, which have received emergency authorization by the Food and Drug Administration. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines require 2 shots a few weeks apart, while the Johnson & Johnson is a single inoculation. Jared Woodfield, the attorney who filed the lawsuit in Montgomery County, said he intends to file with the state court. Woodfield maintains that the hospital violated the law by requiring its employees to take a vaccine that has not received full approval, and that his clients are threatened with termination following the suspension. Essentially, drive.
Okay, so let's look at this once again, piece by piece. First off, I am fully vaccinated, yada, yada, yada. I do not support forcing somebody to get the vaccine. However, the other side of me does say that maybe it's a little bit more important for healthcare workers to get it than you or I. Like, do you see what I mean by that? Like, I can almost see both sides of it.
No, I don't see it that way at all. How can any company, any entity, any country force you to take something you don't want?
And that's a good point. And like I said, I'm not for forcing somebody to take it. But there's a lot of things that you or I don't have to do that medical professionals have to do to keep up with their licenses, yada, yada, yada. They have to get regular TB tests, so on and so forth. Like me,
hey,
you
a
don't
test is one thing. A vaccine is different.
I don't know. The thing that disturbed me, though, in that is that it was specifically the Johnson & Johnson vaccine he called out. And the Johnson & Johnson is the one that, hell, I don't want. I ended up with the Pfizer vaccine and ended up with some chills for a night on the second.
I heard all 3 of them. Yeah, that was one of the reasons we couldn't do a show. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, we would have been here last week, people, if Mike hadn't gotten that second dose.
Anyway, no, I was just waiting for that moment. No, no, you know, the Johnson & Johnson one, though, does have deaths attributed to it. So why not say it like this? Hey, we understand your worries about the Johnson & Johnson specifically. Here's what we can do. You can take the Moderna or the Pfizer, yada, yada, yada. But once again, I don't necessarily agree, but at the same time, I wonder if it comes down to the fact that they do work around COVID patients. They do work around, you know what I mean?
And the flu has been around for how long? The flu has killed how many people? Have they ever tried to mandate the flu vaccine?
Touche. Well, hell, I don't know when they came up with the flu vaccine, if they did, but yeah, touche. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not for making people go out and get it. Like my fiance, for example, she doesn't want it. And I'm not going to be like, yo, you have to go get it. Shame on you for not. I'm not going to talk crap about it. I got it just because, hell, my grandmother and my mother are both older. So why the hell not? You know, worst case scenario, I got stuck twice for no reason.
The way I look at it is, this is the first vaccine that I know of that they have tried to bribe you to get.
They have. I mean, they still actively are.
Yes. Now they're trying to mandate with threat of losing your career.
Which,
if it is that important, you know what? Why are we going to those levels.
I would agree. I'm really interested to see, though, like, one of the biggest arguments I've heard from my fiance, and actually just from that video too, is the fact that this just has emergency authorization, which, by the way, once again, this is an emergency situation. Of course it only has emergency authorization. We really didn't have time to fucking go through 2 more steps. But with that being said, I'm interested to see if are they still continuing to try to get that full authorization from the FDA, or are they just going to operate under emergency authorization forever? That's something I've been kind of racking my brain about, is why haven't they gone ahead and tried to get the full authorization to put some of this? A lot of people's argument is it hasn't gotten the full FDA clearance yet. Why haven't they? It's been 6 months.
And even with the full FDA clearance for the flu vaccine, I never bothered to get the flu vaccine.
Right.
So this is another one that even if it has full FDA clearance, I won't be getting.
Right. Well, and once again, I think it's absolutely asinine to force anybody to do something, number one, that they don't want to do, as long as it's not illegal. And this isn't illegal by any stretch of the imagination, nor will it ever be. A lot of people think, oh my God, Biden's and these companies are going to force people to start getting flu vaccines. No. Like, more than likely, these 117 people that filed this lawsuit are about to win. That's not something that you can do legally. But I will say this. The fact that they are hospital workers kind of gives me at least pause. That I'm like, that's the only thing that gives me pause. Like, if these were 178 construction workers, I'm like, bro, you can't make people do shit.
Yeah, but what's the difference in these nurses and the flu vaccine and these nurses and the COVID vaccine? Do you feel that all nurses should get the flu vaccine?
Don't they require the flu vaccine, though? And literally, I'm asking.
That I don't know. I didn't think they did. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought up the point.
Yeah, maybe they don't, but I think that, like, pretty much any vaccine you can get, you pretty much have to get. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's pretty much how it works there. I could be wrong on that.
I didn't think it was required.
Comment section or what
I thought it was recommended but not required.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's one of those it's strongly advised type of situations. Kind of like I'm sure this COVID vaccine thing was. The gentleman, though, he didn't have to go that way. I kind of thought his statement was kind of shitty. Basically, reading between the lines, he said, well, obviously these people don't give a damn about their patients or any of that.
Right. Yeah.
That was kind of crappy.
When you start taking that was going to be my other point. They try to bribe you. I was trying to think of the other thing. Yeah. They try to bribe you to get it. Then they try to shame you to get it. And then now they're forcing you to get it. Oh, you got COVID.
COVID, yeah. No, I think that the way that statement was worded was very crappy. You can't say that somebody just doesn't give a damn about somebody's health by saying that, they don't want to get the COVID vaccine. These could be some of the best damn nurses and doctors on their staff. And because they have a few reservations, then, that is what it is. I didn't know there was a religious exemption. That's interesting to me. And that goes back to fetal strain being in there. Every vaccine. And that's another thing where some people get confused on. There is a replicated DNA strain from a fetus that was aborted in like 1940 something. The RNA you were talking about?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And basically they just replicate that same thing from that fetus back then. It's not like they use a new fetus every time.
Right. We're not just aborting fetuses, people, to make vaccines.
But that's one of the reasons that some religious groups don't believe in, and any kind of vaccination, because every vaccination has that replicated DNA strain, that RNA.
Right. Right. And, in most cases, I would be like, yo, in most vaccine cases, I'd be the people that are like, yo, I don't want to get this vaccine. I don't like vaccines, yada, yada, yada. I'd be like, bro, it's a vaccine. Whatever. Get sick. I don't care. It's on you. This one, I can understand some of the thoughts about it because it doesn't have full FDA approval. There are deaths linked to the Johnson & Johnson. I'm a lot more understanding on this one than I am on other vaccines. And plus, I don't get the flu vaccine.
For me, it comes down to what the vaccine does, bottom line.
It does make you feel like crap the second dose.
Hold on. Whoa. The vaccine for chickenpox, yes. Good thing. The vaccine for polio, especially polio. Yes, definitely take that. You don't want to get polio.
Right.
But for something that you have to cough or whatever, you don't feel good for 14 days and then it's gone. Is that really the end of the world? Granted, it causes death for some people. I get that.
Yeah.
But for 98% of the people, they recover, no problem?
Right.
Why are you forcing the vaccine on that? Why is that your mountain to die on?
True.
Maybe I shouldn't have used that one, huh?
Funny. I hate you. No, for real. I've missed doing this, but definitely, I can see your point. Why is this when, a lot of people, and the second dose, it made me feel like garbage for 24 hours. Actually, a little bit more than 24 hours. The best descriptor I've heard is it makes you feel hungover, and really it does. That's probably the best descriptor I got of it.
You say as I drink some beer, huh?
Right. That's probably the best descriptor I got. It makes you feel bad. But at the end of the day, like the next morning, so I got it Sunday, woke up Monday feeling like garbage, went to sleep Monday night, and woke up Tuesday and was perfectly fine again, like I am right now.
Really?
Yeah.
See, now I've heard a couple of people that have said that they're like the swelling in the arm that they got the shot in was some of the worst pain that they ever felt.
I noticed the second one, there was a lot more pain. And it was
always based on the second shot.
That's the other thing that I've always wondered, because, you're right. A lot of people's complaints and a lot of people's symptoms come from that second shot rather than the first one, which makes me go, what's different in the second one than the first one?
Right.
But there was a lot more, of this that day.
Or how screwed up did the first one make your immune system that the second one did that to you?
True. I mean, once again, did I feel just completely done for? No. Like my mom, for example, when she got her second one, she got nauseous. I never got nauseated. I just felt literally like I had chills and I couldn't sleep. The first one, I slept like a baby. Like that sucker knocked me the hell out. The second one,
I had heard from one other person that they would have rather had COVID a second time than got that shot if they would have known that.
As shitty as this sounds, like I would have rather had my COVID experience again than getting the second shot, because honestly, I felt better even though it only lasted 24 hours, I felt better that whole 14 days I had COVID, just coughing and being congested, than I did that 24 hours. I'll say that much for damn sure.
So for clear and convincing, y'all can be switched off at any time, I guess, huh?
Touche. Okay, so moving on here, we got the China tests a new carrier killer, and we actually have a story from MH Defense on YouTube on this one.
The Chinese People's Liberation Army, PLA, Rocket Force recently conducted a series of exercises with the aircraft carrier killer DF-26 ballistic missile at night, and while related techniques are challenging, They can bring many advantages on the battlefield, experts said on Wednesday. A missile brigade affiliated with the PLA Rocket Force recently organized an exercise at midnight, featuring training courses like multi-wave mock fire strike and transferring and loading of missiles, China National Radio reported on Tuesday. After launching a first wave of missile strikes, the troops received orders to relocate, reload and start a second wave of strikes. The drills also simulated a hostile attack on a launch position, and the troops had to maneuver to a backup launch location. The missiles featured in the exercise were DF-26s, report footage shows. Reloading requires troops to be accurate and shorten the time as much as possible despite low visibility at night to win more opportunities for succeeding maneuvers and fire strikes, as well as to increase survivability on the battlefield. Sergeant Ding Quan, a missile loading operator at the brigade, was quoted as saying, "The exercise put the troops' operational skills to a test and honed their combat capability at night," the report said. Night launches are more challenging than in the day due to lower visibility, and artificial light must be controlled to a low level in order not to expose the launch position, Fu Kai-Anchao, a Chinese military aviation expert, told the Global Times on Wednesday. It is particularly more challenging for the DF-26, which is designed to also attack moving targets including warships in addition to attacking stationary targets like normal ballistic missiles, Fu said, noting that it would take more advanced reconnaissance and tracking systems to detect a moving target at night and accurately guide the missile to it.
Okay, so
Were you getting tired of that?
Do what now?
Were you getting tired of that?
A little bit. So another act of aggression, and in my mind, an act of aggression. Did they fire it at anything? No, but this is like China's doing this for a reason.
They're
like,
flexing
between the lines. Man, once again, like we're getting to the point. Who's our Secretary of State? It's not John Kerry. Whoever it is, Joe needs to go on and send him on over and be like, "Yo, let's sit down because this is getting pretty intense." Like there needs to be some there needs to be some lines of communication going on right now.
Well, one of the things that President Biden did was get NATO, try to encourage NATO to really push against what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about troops on the ground over there, how much resistance are they really going to put up? When you think of China's numbers,
oh yeah,
this isn't going to be a troop-led war.
No,
this is going to be a technological war.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he's trying to convince NATO to have, French and British and I don't know who all is over there in NATO, but to try to convince them to get people on front lines over there, I think is a big mistake.
I agree. And this is something that, like, bro, I understand you're trying to rally up some support here, but once again, you're running into a army that could run through all of our armies combined. Like I said, Joe needs to sit down with this guy and be like, okay, what do we do? How do we come? I'm not for diplomatic relations in most cases, but when it means we're going to get our asses whooped, I'm not trying to fight a losing battle.
Well, we may not get our asses whooped. I mean, we're a pretty technologically advanced country ourselves.
We are.
Okay, that means we can't get carriers within a certain distance of China.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ways.
I want to see a line of communication though. Like, if at all possible, I think even you would agree, war needs to be avoided with China. We don't need to actively try to get into a conflict.
Yeah, definitely don't go actively pushing the bear. What is China? The bear is Russia.
The bear is Russia. I don't know.
I don't know what China is.
But
I'll go poking the Siamese cat.
they definitely need to be told, hey, this is unacceptable in my mind.
Right.
And yet again, I haven't heard Joe. I follow Joe on Instagram, and all Joe's been doing all this week has been bragging about, oh, I'm sitting here with all of our allies. I believe, Lord forgive me.
Yeah, they don't really need to be touting that, okay? Because China can look and see that we can't even defend the freaking Capitol building.
Right. G7. That's where he's at. He's at the G7.
Yeah, G7.
Yeah. And like you just said, and I was sitting there thinking about that while we were talking about the security failures earlier. I was like, oh, good Lord, China's probably sitting here watching this like, hey.
Well, not me. When they were talking about that they were starting to do reenactments and stuff like that, when they were testing, and had to get that missile to a certain place and all of that, that was the first thing I was thinking of. Oh, you're telling me that they're running scenarios so that they know what to do when it comes time to do it?
Right.
Maybe the Capitol Police will take note of that.
Right. Lord Jesus. But yeah, I mean, my thought on this, I think Joe needs to let it be known that this is unacceptable. I want to see him come out and, once again, we don't have to go over there and strike, but it needs to be told, hey, this is unacceptable. We'll let you get away with a lot of shit, but right now we know who you're aiming at. You know what I mean? That's my thought.
I put a couple of fat boys on some planes and send them over.
Just let them buzz through at a low altitude.
Yep.
Remind them just who the hell we are.
Yep.
Okay.
I would call Iraq and say, hey, watch Channel 4. Russia, hey, tune in to Channel 4.
Remember shock and awe? That ain't got shit on this. Oh, poor Ray.
Just a thought.
Okay, final topic for the week. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We don't have a story to go along with this one, but a new super.
This is a story. What do you mean we don't have a story to go with this? This is the story.
We have a story.
Okay.
But we don't have a video.
We don't have a clip to go with this story. Okay.
Right. So, a new independent super PAC, Liberty and Justice for Arkansas, has been formed to combat Trumpism, and specifically Sarah Huckabee Sanders in the upcoming gubernatorial election. Number one, is this really surprising to anybody? Like, why is this even newsworthy? Because, I mean, and I guess it's because it's Sarah Huckabee Sanders, but at the same time, like, there's super PACs that want to stop the Democrats at this point. They just aren't getting... This is politics, people. This isn't anything new. Sarah probably expected this. Do I think it's going to affect her? Hell no. I think there's enough Trump crowd in this state to elect old Sarah Huckabee Sanders quite a few times over. But with that being said, I don't know why this is being bandied about like, oh, it's dirty politics. They're trying to stop Sarah Huckabee Sanders, yada, yada, yada. Do you see this as dirty politics, or do you see this as politics? At this point,
this is politics. It's not dirty politics. All politics is dirty if you get down to the bottom of it. Bottom line, this is showing you what it takes to defeat somebody in a red state that was very pro-Trump.
Oh, yeah. Especially like Democrats aren't going to put money in some place where they don't think they can win. I think they think that, Arkansas is in play in the gubernatorial election, maybe not on the nationwide election, but, from time to time, Arkansas flips who's in that gubernatorial seat as far as party goes.
I'm honestly surprised that they are pouring money into this, knowing the state and knowing that Sarah is from the state. She was Trump's mouthpiece. I mean, I'm surprised that the Democratic Party is pouring money into this.
I'm not as surprised that they're pouring money. I'm surprised, I guess I should say, at how much money they're pouring into it, just because, yes, Arkansas tends to flip after 2 terms, a lot like we do presidents. Arkansas tends to flip the seat after a 2-term, head of state goes out. But
if it was anybody else, maybe so.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of one of those special circumstances.
Right. I mean, you happen to have a Republican governor in office now.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Sarah Sanders is coming up, luck of the draw type thing.
Right. Exactly.
They're not going to go against her because of what they will be getting with her.
Exactly. And I mean, the thing is with that, Sarah has done, even though I did mention her father a second ago, Sarah has done a hell of a job in making a name for herself in politics. A lot of people are saying that she's eyeing a potential White House run. I don't think, she may have those aspirations. I don't think there's a chance in hell that she would get close to the White House or the Republican nomination. But with that being said, hell yeah, Sarah, if you could get a gubernatorial run out of it, go for it. Like, everybody that's mad at her for running, like.
And I think she could get a White House run out of this.
You think she could get, now hold on. Do you think she could get a run and a nomination, or just a run? Because her dad couldn't even get the nomination.
I think she could get a nomination. She has a way of talking to turn things so that people see it the way she wants it to be seen. I mean, Trump would come out and say something, and you would have the entire media, 4/7/11, all over him. Oh, I can't believe he did this. I can't believe he said this. This is what he was talking about, and this and that. And she would come out and in one press conference squash all of that.
That's true. She was a hell of a press secretary. I'll give her that. She fought a lot of fires for him, which is, why he's doing, for as many people as says Trump only cares about himself, which to a certain degree, I believe, he's definitely.
For those reasons, that's why I think she's definitely going to win the governor's race, hands down. Yeah. But I can definitely see her talking her way into Republican backing for presidency.
That'll be interesting to watch. I mean, if she has the aspiration, it'll only be the second person to get to occupy the White House from this state. So
right. And I mean, you got to look at that. Number one, what has she done to this point?
She's been the press secretary.
Okay. So now this gives her a chance to show that she could lead a state.
Mm-hmm.
Once she does that, it only makes sense that she could be picked for a Republican candidate for president.
I'll say this. If she can, through, and assuming she becomes governor of the state, if she can differentiate herself from things that Trump would do. So let's say she takes a staunch right, then yes, she can nationally potentially be elected. If she
and it depends on the topic. Yes, she would have to go right on some of the topics, but she could stay left on the others, or should we flip that around? She could stay right on some topics, but she would have to go left on others. But like I said, whether she believed that or not doesn't matter, because she has a way to talk to you so that she could say, I don't quite see it the way you do, but here's where we both agree on this part. And people just get enamored with that. And, oh, yeah, you're right.
Well, and let's be honest, it's not hard to get Republicans and Democrats to work together in this state, because a lot of Democrats in this state are Republicans in Democratic clothing. But
I was just looking at the media that she would turn.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and you're right. Like we said, she put out a ton of fires for that man. And that is why he is loyal to her and is helping her right now. I mean, of course, I'm not in any other state, so I don't see what they're doing. But as far as I know, she's the only one that he's like already going full bore. Hell yeah, I'll put my name on your back situation.
So, yeah, definitely. If she shows that she can handle running a state, I don't see anything that could really stop her from a presidential run.
That'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Okay, so my American Idiot of the Week. I'm going to go with the cop. Name escaping me, of course, but I'm going with the cop.
Officer Dunn.
Officer Dunn, yes. Officer Dunn, you're my American Idiot of the Week, bro. You don't even know the law that you are hired to enforce. That makes you American Idiot of the Week material. Did you keep yours the same, Manny?
I did, but before I get to that, and I tried to find the other ones that I'd written down. A few weeks ago, my American Idiot of the Week was going to be Natalia Kakhmiuk.
Mm-hmm.
Kakhmiuk from Boca Raton, Florida.
Boca Raton.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Boca Raton.
Did you hear about this chick?
No.
She was charged with child neglect and hit and run and resisting arrest after letting her 4-year-old drive her Chevy Equinox.
You're lying to me.
No, look it up. Natalia from Boca Raton.
Oh my God.
Put her 4-year-old in the driver's seat of the vehicle and let the 4-year-old drive, who put it in reverse and backed into a car. So then she got the 4-year-old, put her in the passenger seat, drove to a different parking spot, and took the child up to the room or some crap like that.
Oh my.
Yeah. But for this week, no. For this week, brought to you by
yeah, I was about to say, don't forget your sponsorship.
Honeybee CBD products. Check them out. Good pain relief. Very good pain relief. Kamala Harris, who, despite being put in a position to check on our southern border, has yet to go and even visit the southern border, yet has time to go to Guatemala and tell them what they need to do over there.
You know what's weird about this? I feel like Joe gave her that as an opportunity to succeed and set her up for a presidential run, but she's fumbled it pretty hard.
Really hard.
Yeah. And it's like, Joe, when are you going to be like, hey, this isn't working, I'm going to need to take that back from you?
I don't know. Somebody needs to be put in a position where they'll actually do it.
Right.
The fact that she hasn't even visited any part of the border is baffling to me.
Like,
and the crazier thing, I shared a video with you earlier where she in 2016?
Yes. Where she said, it's horrible what Trump's doing. Yeah.
Yes.
Holy mother of flip-flop.
When she's talking about how can we be turning these people away? How can we be doing this? That's un-American. And now you go to earlier this week when she says basically the same thing Trump was saying. Don't visit. Don't come here. If you come here, we will turn you away. If you come across, we will take you into custody. We will enforce the laws that we have.
Hypocrisy at its finest. Gotta love the Democratic and Republican Party for that.
You gotta love politicians.
Exactly. And that's, once again, this is another situation. I watched a gentleman who said something about Barack Obama, and he was like, he said something to the effect of, man, we had such an opportunity with Barack Obama. I was so excited. And he just fell short of doing, and this isn't a knock on Obama, but he just fell short of what, the lofty expectations. And we can debate whether they were set too lofty or not. This is another situation. Kamala had a chance Like, I truly believe that Joe set her up with this southern border thing for her to be able to run on, hey, I ran the southern border for Joe Biden. And she has fumbled it terribly. Yeah. People are still, I mean, I remember we've talked about it. People are in worse conditions right now at the southern border than they were when Trump was just putting them in fucking buildings. Like,
yeah, because you had a small number of people that were still coming over, small in the scale of things. They were still coming over by the hundreds and thousands, but in the scale of things, it was a small number of people. So yes, you were getting some people that were being detained in unfavorable conditions.
Right.
You were getting bad stuff that was happening to children, being separated, and not a lot of space to really watch them the way they needed to be watched.
Mm-hmm.
But with Biden and Kamala Harris, they pretty much told everybody, come on.
Right. We're open for business again.
And the biggest influx seemed to be unaccompanied minors.
Well, and I don't know whether Joe and Kamala Joe especially, because he's been in Kamala's seat before. I don't know if they didn't know, and they should have known, the influx of them saying, hey, come on, yeah, you can come on, would bring. I don't know if they understood the scale that it would bring.
Kind of like they didn't understand the scale of January 6th, huh? Kind of like they didn't understand the scale of January 6th.
True.
Seems to be an ongoing pattern with this administration.
Right. The federal government is being special. Okay. What else?
So yeah, Kamala Harris is my American Idiot of the Week for being in charge of a place. Well, I guess she's my American Idiot of the Week because she chose to fly to Guatemala and talk to them instead of go to the border.
Yeah.
Try to see what she can do about that situation.
Well, and as much as we bash Joe for not doing much so far, and now we're 6 months in, as much as we bash Joe for not doing much, the fuck has Kamala done? Like, once again, I feel like of any vice president, she has been set up the most for success post vice presidency, and she has done nothing with it.
Right.
And it's kind of depressing for me.
And as you said, it was 6 months in, and I know there was a whole lot more people talking about not my president when it came to Trump than are talking about Biden right now.
Well, and even I think some people, I don't think a lot of people are talking about Biden so I get these alerts on my phone and say that, not 3/4 of America says that they have a favorable view of how he's running everything. And I sit there and I look at that and I'm like, either these numbers are skewed.
No.
Or
no.
These people just don't know what they're talking about. Because
media would skew numbers.
Never. But bro, there's no way you can have a completely favorable view. He's handling something. The things that he's handling, he's doing a hell of a job on. Right. He's doing a hell of a job getting things out there on COVID. I won't say he's done a hell of a job with race relations, but he's done a hell of a job with COVID. That's about his only win right now.
Right.
I don't know. But anyway, it's about that time. We're going to go ahead and get out of here till next week. For the Manic Hispanic, I am Money Mike. See you next week.
That I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.